So welcome everybody. Today is March 1st, and we're having an info session about the ecosystem restoration design course. Ashley, go ahead.
Hey everyone, nice to see you. My name is Ashley and I have been involved with the ecosystem restoration camps movement since its inception in 2016. And I am a typical person that the ecosystem restoration camps movement was created to support, because I was someone who was anxious, depressed, really frightened of climate change and really wanting to do something about it, and a massive lover of nature, and never, didn't know how I could make an impact and do something with my life to help deal with ecosystem collapse. I watched John Liu's documentary Green Gold on YouTube just purely by coincidence in 2016, was totally blown away by seeing the before and after pictures of the Luz Plateau, and wrote to John on Facebook and asked him if I could help him in any way. And it was just perfect timing. And I started working with the ERC as a volunteer. And fast forward to 2019, where I had all these connections to the different teachers on the course, just through different areas and elements of the ERC work. And I thought, how amazing would it be if I could create a way for everyday people like me to learn how to restore degraded ecosystems from all of these experts? Because this type of course didn't really exist, or I couldn't find it anywhere. And I felt like I was in the position to make that happen. So that's what happened. I connected with Gaia Education. They were really excited about it as well. And together we created this course. And what makes this course so incredible, and what I'm particularly excited about to talk to you about today, is that this course works. The course was created to help normal people around the world restore degraded land, restore degraded ecosystems. And there are now dozens of new restoration projects around the world as a result of this course, or with aid of this course. And I find that really, really heartening and motivating and exciting. And yeah, I'm just really proud of everything that we've achieved. The course is made up of 5 modules. And in the first 3 modules, you go around the world on a tour, meeting different restoration practitioners who are focusing on restoring different ecosystem types. So in the first module, you look at natural ecosystems, temperate tropical forests, deserts and drylands, and coral reefs. And you learn from the presenters as to how they did this kind of restoration work, what their challenges were and how they overcame them. Then we do the same for agricultural ecosystems, and look at different types of regenerative agriculture. Then we look at ecosystem restoration in urban areas. And then the last 2 modules are more about giving you the other skills that you'll need to create your own restoration project, such as a business plan. So you look at creating something called a business model canvas, which is where you kind of map out your project, map out all of the different areas of your business. It's like a business plan that you can see on one large piece of paper. And you're introduced to other types of ecosystem restoration businesses, and you learn from them as to what their business model is, how it works. And then the last module, you get into groups and you design your own ecosystem restoration project and business plan. So that by the end of the course, you have everything that you need to go ahead and start to restore an area of land or river or ocean or whatever it is that's close to your heart. And what's even better about this course is that you have the chance to pick the brains of these experts in monthly calls. So at the end of each module, you'll have a session with some of the teachers from that module where you can ask them any questions that you have about your own restoration project or about the course content if you need them to elaborate on that further. And hundreds of people have gone through the course already, and lots of different restoration projects have come out the other side. And yeah, we're now 3 years into doing this course. And I thought what would be really amazing is to hear directly from one of the teachers. So Alan's here today.
Ashley, I'm going to introduce Gaia first, and then we'll go to Alan.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
I was running through, but I've probably gone over time. So take it away, Sylvia.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ashley. Okay, well, welcome again, everybody. I know that some of you just arrived. That was Ashley from ERC. Again, my name is Sylvia. I'm the e-learning coordinator. So if you take the course, you're going to be dealing a lot with me, and because I'm the one who sends and makes sure that everything is going smoothly for everybody. As Ashley said, the course is amazing, and one of the things that make this course more amazing is that it creates community. So it's not just about ecosystem restoration, you and the land, but it's you and all the other people who you will meet in this journey and the things that you're going to be doing together. Another addition is that apart from the teachers who you are going to see in pre-recorded lessons, and they are going to be available, like Ashley said, to pick their brains at the end of each module. We will have like a panel of teachers answer questions. You also have the companionship of facilitators. These facilitators are people who are deeply engaged in permaculture and working with communities and ecosystem restoration themselves. And some of them are alumni. So you will have support all the way through the course. So it's not a course that you take and you just watch videos. It's also all the support that you have from other facilitators and from cohorts. We tested this course for a few months because some people were asking for having the course self-paced, and it didn't work very well because it's about communities. So we're going back to the community vision right now. And one thing that I wanted to add is that before the lessons were shorter, where each one of the modules lasted for 1 month and was pretty, it was stressful for people, to finish everything every week to finish the modules. So we extended, and now it's 2 months. So that means that every lesson is, instead of being 1 week, is 2 weeks. So that gives you more flexibility. So I will be happy to answer questions about costs, discounts, and any other things that you may need, may have questions. Oh, and to graduate, you have to take 1 module from modules 1, 2, or 3, plus module 4 and module 5. Most people take all the 5 modules because that way it gives you a very, wide range of opportunities to see how you can restore different type of ecosystems. But if you have a particular interest in one particular type of ecosystem, then you can take that module isolated. Okay, so back to you, Ashley and Alan.
Cool, thanks. Someone has asked in the chat if a link can be posted that describes the program. So maybe you could do that, Sylvia.
Yeah, I will be doing that. Don't worry about that part. Let's go with the agenda and Alan presentation.
Okay, cool. Welcome to everyone who's just joined us. We're now going to hear from Alan Watson-Featherstone, who is actually the first teacher on the course, and he teaches about restoring temperate forests. And he's here with us today to tell us about his lesson and what you can expect. So over to you, Alan.
Great. Thanks, Ashley and Sylvia. And hi, everybody out there. It's great to see people from so many different countries. I can't see all of you, but I see quite a few. So very briefly, just about me. I live in the north of Scotland. I'm an ecologist, nature photographer, public speaker, do a bit of writing. And I live in the Findhorn community, which is an intentional community. I've been here since 1978. And I visited a place called Glenafric in 1979 for the first time, a remnant of the Caledonian forest in the Highlands of Scotland, and was touched deeply by it. It reminded me of untouched areas in Canada and South America I'd visited, and was unlike anywhere else in Scotland, which is a heavily nature depleted country. So I began going out there quite regularly, and in 1986, at the end of a big ecological conference I organised with 300 participants, I made a public commitment to launch a project to restore that forest, the Caledonian forest, the boreal forest in Scotland. And that's the subject of my contribution to this course. The part on restoring temperate forests focuses on the Caledonian forest. And I really felt the land, the forest, was calling out for help. It was old trees at the time, coming to the end of long lives, 200, 300 years old, with nothing growing to replace them. And it was dying out. It was a geriatric forest, I called it. And I felt motivated, as I think many people feel motivated. They see the problems of the earth, they see the destruction that's taking place, and what can we do about it? So I felt there was something I could do about it, and I launched this project. And at the time, I had no skills, I had no experience, I had no access to land, I had no money. On an outer level, I had nothing. But I had the most important thing, I believe. I had this great love for the land, this feeling of this is a beautiful place, it's full of life, and I need to help it continue to thrive and to restore it to its full abundance and diversity. So my module, I'm going to be talking about that, about the techniques of doing it and the reasons why the forest is in such a poor state. It's been overgrazed by deer and sheep for hundreds of years, so all the most palatable species of trees are gone. The understory is gone. Lots of our wildlife is gone. All our major land mammals, the wolf, the bear, the lynx, wild boar, beavers, were all exterminated. And we had this geriatric forest of old trees, which still produced good seed. And every year, seedlings germinated, but they got devoured by deer. So we had this generation gap. So my module, I talk about how to address that, the problems that were there. So one of the basic principles is starting from areas of strength. Glenafric is one of the best examples of the old forest. So we put up some fences to keep the deer out. The land is privately owned by wealthy landowners. The better solution is to reduce deer numbers, but they're not willing to do that. So we put fences up, and the seedlings that were already there began to grow. And nature recovers by herself if we humans stop interfering with it. That was one of the very first lessons that I learned. Nature knows best, and if we can get out of the way and let nature do what she wants to do, she'll recover from her wounds just like my body recovers if I cut myself, for example. You know, a scab forms over the blood and my skin heals. The earth does the same thing. So restoration is about assisting that process, not blocking or interfering with it. And in some cases, we can accelerate it. So in the module, I look at the issues that we had to face there, the lack of seed sources in some places where there are no trees left. So we do some tree planting as well, selectively, not in straight lines, but in irregular spacing patterns to mimic nature, how a forest would grow by itself. We've done some work on growing trees from local seed sources. It's particularly the rare and scarce trees, the most palatable ones that the deer prefer to eat, bringing back balance and diversity. The charity I founded is now quite a substantial organization, and in 2008 we raised enough money to buy 10,000 acres, 4,000 hectares of land, because we generated enough interest and support to do that, and that gave us free rein then to work on reducing deer numbers. We brought wild boar into a fenced exclosure to control bracken, which is an unpalatable plant, but the boar dig up the rhizomes and eat them. And bracken had taken over many areas, taller than me, and shades out everything. So that was another attempt to reduce these factors which were preventing the natural recovery of the forest. So the module also looks at the challenges that we faced, you know, how to engage local support, where to obtain seeds from, how to address some of the critical issues that are preventing the recovery of the forest by itself. And we work through all of those. I've done a lot of photography over the years, so the module includes photographs before and after. There's one famous photograph I took in 1989 of these standing dead pines, skeletal trees, dead, no trees around them. And we fenced that area, and there's now trees, 30 feet tall there that have grown by themselves. So we've got before and after comparisons that really show the effectiveness of the work. And the other thing I think I like to emphasize as well is that nature really responds to human love and care. I think many people know that intuitively. Anybody who's got houseplants and they give their houseplants lots of care and attention, they flourish. Sometimes an elderly aunt does that. People who have pets know that pets respond to love and care. And any parent knows that their children thrive in an atmosphere of love. Nature is the same thing. And my experience is that love amplifies and strengthens the life force of whatever it's directed towards. And that is true for an individual houseplant or a pet or a child, and it's true for an ecosystem as well. So it's not just the practical work, it's actually also about the quality with which we work. And when we come together with a group and pool our wisdom, our knowledge, our work, and the care of our hearts, that makes all the difference. So these are some of the things that I cover in this course, in my section of it. And it's really a demonstration project that exemplifies some of the techniques that are being used in many other parts of the world as well, not just in temperate forests, but elsewhere. And I've had the good fortune to travel quite a lot and visit other restoration projects in countries like India and Costa Rica and so forth. And it's great to see people really working from that same quality of giving something back to the earth, giving something to the future, to future generations, giving a sense of hope to the world. And we've all got that. And I think the other thing I like to emphasize from my own personal experiences, as I said earlier, I started this with nothing on a material level. But I've allowed nature to be my guide. I've developed a deep connection with the land, and often I just get an intuitive flash or some insight that tells me what needs to be done. It's like nature speaks to all of us. Indigenous people know this still, but we in the West, in our modern industrialized, economic dominated culture, have lost that. And that's been my process of rediscovery as well. Finding out my connection with nature. And I believe that's an important part of any restoration project, because what it's about really is stepping back from human management and control and letting nature do what nature wants to do again. And that's what needs to happen all over the planet. So my big vision is that this 21st century will become known as the century of restoring the earth. That will be the first shared task for all peoples, all nations, all humanity. And each one of you on this call can play a vital role in that. You've got something that's drawn you to this course, and I hope that it will help you to find your passion and find the way that you can give something that you uniquely can give that will help restore our wounded world. I think I'm just out of time, so I'll finish there.
Thank you so much. So inspiring, really, to hear you again.
Thanks, Alan.
Next, Ashley.
Okay, so we are now going to go to Helen. Helen is one of the alumni students from the school of 2020. One of the first people to do this course, and she has taken what she's learned and created a restoration project in her community, and she's going to share that with us.
Thank you. Right, yes, so I'm speaking to you from Northampton in the UK today. And as Ashley said, I did the ecosystem restoration course back in 2020. I was, at the time, I was struck with, and still am, concern about the climate and nature emergency, and so wanted to understand how I could try and make a difference personally, and probably more importantly within my immediate community. So I took the course based on the different modules, so the knowledge that I would be able to obtain. I loved the accessibility format of it. and the fluidity of how you could watch through all of the different modules and in your own time. I thought the affordability was fantastic, and I was hoping through it to be able to connect with a community of people that I could learn from, but also be inspired by. So that's what I was hoping to get out of it before I took it. And then when I actually started taking the course, it was more than I ever could have hoped for. So I think all of the, first of all, the individual experts and the speakers were just extraordinary. Their knowledge was amazing. Their passion, I think, in particular, really, really shone through. And that alone was really inspiring. And the breadth of content you got across all of the different modules was fantastic. And then the people that we met, you have so much continual interaction and opportunities to connect. I think that makes all the difference, because you're just surrounded by people in a a community who really inspire you and want to achieve similar things. So the rhythm of the course, the bite-sized chunks of information, and the speed at which you can learn was just fitted perfectly for me. So of the modules, they were all amazing, but the one that most naturally sat with me was the urban module, because I live in quite a built-up area. So I'm going to talk to you about the an elm tree avenue that we've planted, which has absolutely been inspired by this course, and how it came about. So I'm just going to run through a few pictures here, and this is the community that I live in. So I live in Wootton here, Wootton Fields, and so this is we do border some countryside, but we're a pretty urban area. And this yellow patch here was originally the site of the project that we completed, and I worked with 3 other people from the group, and we created actually a plan for a tiny forest. It was the tiny forest module that probably first got me going. And working in a group was incredible. Learned so much, was really inspired by my fellow students. But actually, once the course had finished, it inspired me to contact my local parish community, my parish clerk. And I contacted her and I said, would there be any opportunity to do any tree planting within our local area? And she said, oh, possibly. And I sort of continued pestering her. And in the end, she actually said, would you consider applying to be a parish councillor? So within our part of the county alone, there are 165 parish councils, and we all have access to quite a lot of land. So I applied to be a parish councillor and actually set up an open spaces group. And this little map I'm showing you here is this bit of land here. And as part of the Open Spaces group, we came up with a plan to plant an avenue of trees. And I contacted a lady locally from a charity called Save Our Street Trees, who put me in touch with another, her urban tree forester from a company called Woodland Dwelling. And I also applied for a grant from the Urban Tree Challenge Fund. And we were successful in receiving a bid for £11,000. And that allowed us to fund 50% of the trees and 3 years maintenance for this avenue of elms. So we managed to fund the project through Woodland Dwelling, and we planted an avenue of trees back on the 30th of November, and we involved lots of people from the community. We publicised the whole event and put out little flyers to get as many people involved as possible. And then the day, this is just some examples of the actual, or some pictures of the volunteers and the trees, and you can see there, they're about 5 to 6 meters tall. They are disease-resistant elms. We wanted to kind of re-establish some of our lost populations. Also, they are home to the endangered white-letter hair streak butterfly as well, but we wanted to put some diversity back into our local urban area. So we did that. It was a day's project. We got lots of local coverage, and we also included children from the school and were supported by over 50 volunteers from the community. So absolutely was without doubt, because of this course, because of the knowledge I gained, and because it inspired me to connect with my local community, that this avenue is in place today. And just to finish, I'd probably say, I thought that there are so many amazing projects you can do around the world, and I thought the most impact I can probably have is on my doorstep. And becoming part of my local parish council has made me realise there is a lot of land under their ownership, which can be improved. So depending on where you are in the world, there may be an opportunity to kind of influence that local land ownership to help restore it. And that's it from me.
Thank you, Helen. I actually feel a little bit emotional. Because it's this exactly what the course is for, you know. I grew up in a town that is very nature depleted, and constantly walking past parks and places that I love that look quite similar to this, and thinking I need to find a way to empower people to put nature back, and this is exactly what you've done. And
the response from our community was extraordinary. I mean, I had so many people turn up, and the positivity and the community connection you create and the people I've met through it. I mean, it's just all positives. It's been the most rewarding thing to do, and it came, you know, it happened over time. And each step you take, you feel, oh, it's not that significant. But when you just have to stop every so often and reflect back, realize what you've achieved. And I'm sure hopefully you do that often, Ashley.
I'm so glad that you felt empowered to, you know, take on this initiative and make this happen. And I'm really, really chuffed that the course helped you get there. So thanks for coming along today, Helen, and sharing that story.
Helen, can you stop sharing the screen? Perfect. Thank you. It's Terrell now, right?
Yes. So now we're going to hear from Terrell Chapel, who's based in France, and someone asked if doing this course was a prerequisite for becoming a camp, and the answer to that is no. But there are some people who took the course who were already running restoration camps or who started restoration camps as a result. And Terrell runs a restoration camp, and this project, the course, helped him with his thinking on how to develop his camp. So we're going to hear from him and his lovely partner now. So over to you two, Claudia and Terrell.
Hello, everybody, and
Hello.
Thanks for. It's such a privilege to share with you all. And you know, I get to be often the spokesperson, but there's a lot more happening over here with. It's really takes two of us at a bare minimum to keep this thing going. I just give a little background. You know, we had the opportunity to become stewards of this really old farm in France when Claudia's parents left it to us after they passed, and we'd been dreaming about it for a long time. I had a chance to visit an ecosystem restoration camp in Mexico, Camp Via Organica, where I got to meet Ashley for the first time, and John Liu, and just some wonderful folks. And I really got to see what was happening. And that's where I was inspired. I said, I think this would be a really good thing that we could do with this land that had been just sort of lived on and not really taken care of now. So that was the inspiration. We became a camp in 2020, and we came here in October of 2020, and we had the opportunity to begin the course, which was very timely for us. I just want to say that I enjoyed. We took the course together. That's why I wanted to get Claudia over here, because we both did it together, which was really a great way for us to get grounded in our project. And it was just so inspiring. Every one of the modules, we did all 5, and each one had something really significant to teach us. And of course, we loved Alan's. It was just so inspiring. And, you know, Alan, the part that about just stopping what was being done. I mean, one of the first things we did was stop the mowing on this land, because that's all that had really been done to maintain it. And the most amazing things happened. Suddenly we had flowers everywhere, and the bees and the birds, and it was just by actually not doing anything, you know, and nature started to come back. So thank you for that. And the other part that I just wanted to share was to become part of this international community continues to be such an inspiration for us. And I made a little video that I wanted to share, because it kind of shows what we've been able to do here in 2 years. And a lot of it was a result of the planning process that we went through. Module 5, we happened to be one of the projects that we were able to have other people taking the course participate in working on the design and helping us formulate our mapping out our 5-year plan. And it was really, really powerful. And now we have, lifelong friends and people that we stay in touch with. And that continues to grow as we have more and more people find us and come to volunteer and do other things. So I think, Sylvia, if you could play that video, it'd probably be best. Otherwise, I'll just keep talking.
Bonjour. As we near the end of 2022, we wanted to take some time to reflect on where and how we've grown since arriving in 2020 to live in France full-time and create Vert Soleil. As with many, the impact of the pandemic on our lives was a tipping point that accelerated the realization of our dream and inspired us to make the commitment to pack up our lives, material possessions, and move to France earlier than planned. We do not regret this choice. In the time we've been here, we've learned to slow down and connect with the rhythm of our land and life in rural France. When we arrived October 1st, 2020, the region had just experienced a long, hot summer and the land was dry and cracked. This land had not been farmed for over 80 years and was just mowed, with cuttings removed as a maintenance strategy, leaving very little organic matter or wildflowers for bees and other pollinators. Our first project was the completion of our rainwater harvesting system with pond/water catchment reservoir/natural swimming pool. We chose to focus first on farming water as the foundation for everything to follow, and we were glad to have had the water during last summer's severe drought. Next, we slowly began adding manure, hay mulch, and wood chips to build biology and soil fertility for future planting. Thanks to the support from friends and family, we raised funds to begin renovation of our 300-year-old stone and timber frame barn. We restored both lofts, turned the upper loft into a dormitory with access stairs, installed recycled stone tiles in the ground floor, and added a recycled wood-burning fireplace. These renovations have allowed us to have a beautiful space to host workshops, classes, and group meals. We even had our first live performance in the lower loft space, which was temporarily converted to a stage for the evening. We installed our first vegetable gardens, 33 truffle trees, and 500 lavender plants, built 2 greenhouses, set up a shop, constructed a composting toilet, solar-heated outdoor shower, converted an art studio to an office and healing treatment space, and have begun planting our food forest garden. During this time, we have had the privilege of housing and feeding some very special people, including 10 interns, a group of 12 Austrian scouts, 2 week-long ecosystem restoration camps, and hosting 2 dinners for our neighbors and local community. The past 27 months have been challenging and rewarding as we learned to navigate French bureaucracy, visas, and healthcare. We have learned to appreciate the simplicity and tranquility of living in a stone farmhouse on 2 hectares in the rural countryside where we share 1 square kilometer with 1 other full-time resident. All in all, it has been generously rewarding, and we feel gratitude every day for the lives we live. The heart of our motivation for creating Vert Soleil goes beyond just having a good life to that of creating an experience for others to reconnect with nature and themselves while being nurtured by the land, clean air, and good food. We invite you to join us in 2023 for your personal Vert Soleil experience. À bientôt.
Well, there you go. That's kind of a bit of a journey for us. And I hope I forgot to mention in the beginning, the drone footage that I took was from the summer of 2019. So I took that. I wanted to record where we were starting. And then recently, in November, the end of it was what we shared. So thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to share with everyone.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Carol and Claudia. I think it's so impressive what you've managed to achieve in the last few years, honestly. And I had the pleasure of visiting Vert Soleil last year in September. And what the 2 of you have done in such a short amount of time is really, really impressive. And yeah, it's wonderful that other people have got to see your hard work as well and been inspired by it.
Well, thanks, Ashley. I just want to also say it really helps to have the cheerleading section of the ecosystem restoration camp staff and the other camps around. It really has helped keep us going and nurture us along the way. So thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, lovely. This is so inspiring and enjoyable. We're all enjoying it as much as I am. We're now going to hear from Jane, who is another alumni student from the Ecosystem Restoration Design course, who has developed her own restoration project in Kenya. So please, over to you, Jane. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Jane Wegesa Fraser, and I'm in Kenya in a small town called Kitale. And I was among the privileged who went through this course, and I would say it was a wonderful course. It set me up for works. Actually, I was looking for practical ways to understand how to restore degraded landscapes. And the reason why is that we have devastating degradation right now in Kenya, especially in dry areas, and families are actually very devastated by the causes of these calamities. And therefore, I was looking at simple solutions that you can explain to someone and someone can understand. And when I did the course, I realized that it gave me a lot of skills and empowered me actually to do this now in a better way, organized me in my mind and visions. And now I can help a lot of communities do projects that actually enable them to produce food, empower them to get resources, and also restore the land. So looking at the course, today's environmental challenges, I realized that this course gives you all the insights that you need actually for restoration purposes, be it agricultural landscapes or forest natural ecosystems or pastoral land, or we have permaculture designs, we have tiny forests, we have growing food and communities, we have all this. And the business model really set me up for this business that I'm going to talk about. And the best thing was that there was the 4 returns by common land, which was really for me an outstanding framework that I thought would has really great insight to help you reorganize your goals. And our project is modeled on 4 returns. So I'm just going to move to the next slide. So Boma Ecologia is the project. Boma Ecologia is a project based in West Pokot County in Kenya. And this is the community where we are doing the project. This is how we gather in the community. We sit down under trees, under shade, and then we discuss how we can move forward. We have the local chief, we have the local authority, the government come in, and then we design together. So together with some of the students that we had, that we did our final module 5, where we created the project, that was Bart and Nadia and Eric. The 4 of them looked at the design that we had done. Terry gave us some insights, and other people gave us insights into how to do the designs. And after the final design, we came together and said, then should we just keep the books, or what do we do? So we said, no, we can't keep the books. So out of that, we decided to initiate a project, and we opened a non-profit company in UK called Boma Ecologia, which is raising funds to do the project on the ground in Kenya. So Boma Ecologia in Kanyerus is funded by Boma Ecologia UK, and a non-profit company. And the directors are the students that were in the course. That's Bart, Nadia, and Eric. I am the feet on the ground for the 4. So that's how we began. We are focused on restoring pastoral land, and therefore we want to make them self-sufficient. And the land is degraded because they are keeping a lot of livestock on the land. And therefore, we are bringing in holistic grazing, and that is going to help us restore at least 250 hectares of land under pastoral community. So our main approaches was to create the Boma, which is now the traditional, it traditionally used to be a place where they gather animals, and then in the morning they take them out for grazing. But in the evening, they are in the communal place where all families bring their livestock together for security purposes. So that's coming back as a social enterprise where communities will come together to exchange and knowledge and learn from each other, from neighboring communities and all that. We have the food forest, we have the paddocks, and the areas that we are going to restore. Those are the approaches we are using, and all that came from the courses that we had. So this is the nursery. We created the nursery where we are gathering indigenous seeds, and then we propagate them in the nursery, and this is being propagated by the youth of the community. So we have the youth, the women, and the men, the elders. So the elders are focused on the cattle aspect, where they are monitoring the cattle market and also beehives, and then the youth are doing the nursery, and the women are doing the food forest. That's how we incorporated the whole community. So we have already set contours in the land to capture runoff and plant vegetative material like vetiver grasses. And we have done also, through the course, we learned how to create a vibrant kitchen garden and food forest. And this shows how we have trained communities to do that. We want to also use local materials for building, like natural building, without using a lot of cement and stuff like that. And this is a community where we have trained how to create a food forest, and they have learned and created a lot of pasture and a lot of harvest, and then they come together, harvest, and then share amongst themselves. So this is showing the techniques we have used in restoring the land. Here you can see us training the women and the men, and then slowing down runoff in half moons and creating microclimates, and here the restored land. So this is the works that how we train them. And this is a banana circle, and this is our fruit forest. So that's how we created the food forest. And this is showing now the pasture lands that we restored and the neighboring land where we didn't restore. So it shows the difference between one rain season. This land has the same rain as here, but because of the system we created here, this one land is completely bare. So we are trying to show the community that land restoration is possible, and you can do it through these steps. And this was because of the skills we acquired through this course and the knowledge we acquired through the teachings that we got. Alan really inspired us too. I want to say that. So this is just showing also the land, how it was restored. And that's it. And that is where we model our envision: increased social capital, increased ecological capital, increased economical capital, and inspiration to the community. That's the 4 returns. And our project is based on that. So thank you for now. And I'll end it from there and listen to questions.
Oh, amazing. That before and after picture is really, really impressive. Well done for all of your work, Jane. It looks like you're doing some really incredible things there and really changing people's lives. And wow. Wow, super inspired. So we have roughly 15 minutes now for questions. I know that some of you joined late, and the first 5 minutes was me kind of giving a rundown of the course, which I can do again because there were questions coming in.
Yeah, actually, I would suggest, because of the little time, that we go for questions, because I'm going to be sending the recording and information to everybody who registered. So even if you arrive late, you will be able to watch that part.
Okay. I was just going to suggest doing a rerun if we didn't have any questions, but I imagine we probably do. Anyone want to ask anything?
Yeah, and you can choose the reactions button on the bottom, of the screen, and raise your hand, or you can post your question in the chat. Could be questions about the course, how is the structure? Like I said before, I'm going to be sending information about the course, the recording, and limited seats for a discount that we have. Freaky, go ahead.
Hi. Thank you so much for this webinar. It's been amazing. Yeah, and I'm taking the course right now, and I'm finding it truly inspirational. And right now, actually, we're doing the module 5, so I'm looking forward to that. I just had a question for Alan. So I found his story about in Scotland with the temperate forest restoration to be inspiring. I wanted to know how exactly he went about identifying the keystone species, because there are several, like in British Columbia where I am, there are several different coniferous older trees within the area I'm trying to work on restoring, where it has been logged. So I just wanted to know how he identifies keystone species and where to build from. Thank you.
You're muted, Alan.
Okay, thanks for that question. That's a good question. For me, it was part of my education process. As I said, I started with no knowledge or experience. So one of the things I did was go out on the land with people who had studied the forest, who'd worked with it, and I picked their brains. And for us in Scotland, it was very clear, the dominant tree in the Caledonian forest is the Scots pine. It's bigger and older than any other tree species, and it's the framework. But keystone species are not just trees. Keystone species function at different levels of an ecosystem. So on the forest floor understory, wood ants are a keystone species. They're pretty small, but they have nests with maybe 500,000 ants, and they control aphid populations and eat insects that damage trees and so forth. The European beaver is another keystone species because of the way it dams rivers and creates wetlands which benefit many others. So what I would suggest in your case is talk to some people who, know the ecology of your forest there. I actually used to live in British Columbia back in the 70s for 3 years. So it's a part of the world I really love. And you've got great trees there, the Douglas fir and Sitka spruce and all of those things. And it probably varies from place to place, I would say. The coastal forest is a bit different to the ones more inland, further away. But make contact. There are plenty of scientists and ecologists who've been studying that forest, and pick their brains and draw on their experience. Is that helpful?
Very helpful. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I'm going to answer one question that is on the chat, and it's access to land. You actually don't need access to land. You don't need to own land. You have teams in module 5. So if everybody is going to create a proposal for your own design, and then there is a voting process when you are going to be part of a team. So not necessarily all the proposals are going to go for the design module 5, because it's not designed for individuals, it's designed for teams. So that means that those of you who don't have access to land or don't own land, you can be part of a team, learn tons from that team and all the design, and then all that knowledge you bring to your own life and to your own community. So I don't know if that answered the question. And there was another question about connection and whether you are doing the right thing. I think one of the things that you learn from this course is you start connecting with other people who are having projects and who are doing things already, and that's the best way to answer some of the questions.
Yeah.
Sylvia, can I ask a question?
Sorry, who was that?
Can I ask a question, Sylvia?
Of course, yeah, go ahead.
I'm honored to be here, and I have a specific question for Alan Watson. Dear Alan, as a medical doctor, in clinical settings floors, I see a lot of problems that we don't have to do much about them. They are coming from the deepest roots of distribution of ecological cycle, especially in a heart and lung settings. And the pandemics told this for each one. So I think, how can we expand this discussion and to integrate even more people that are from completely different backgrounds, because I think nature talk by herself, and can integrate every part of department from scientific thinking. So this is my question, that I want to be integrated not just in specific lands or specific problems. I want a more ontological soil thing that can give a different solution in different problematic settings. So I want to be integrated and to have more connection with different people from different settings, to be able to be like a team that can be used, this knowledge, this wisdom in different countries, in different settings, in different situations. As a medical doctor, I have seen this directly to the people, the pathological thinking that we are doing to nature. And I think each one can do a change in this system. Each one can give the best solution in this world. How can we make it more expanded to be integrated, each of us, not just the ecologists or people that directly put their efforts?
Okay, thanks for that. I'm not quite sure what the best answer to that is, but I think participating in a course like this is one of the ways of doing that, because I think key to what you're asking is building networks of like-minded people. And when we do that, and we each link up with our projects, and we offer a sense of positivity and hope, that's what so many people are hungering for in the world today. You know, if you turn on the television or look at, you know, the news channels, it's all the bad news, you know, it's destruction, it's war, and it really drags people down. But in my experience, when anybody comes to a place that's engaged in helping to revive the earth, to restore an ecosystem, it's like, yes, we can do something positive. It's not hopeless. And that inspires people, and that is infectious. You're a doctor, so it's not just diseases that are infectious, it's actually
infectious disease.
Positivity is infectious too, and it's been really helpful for me to go and visit some of the other restoration projects that I've been to, because although they're completely different ecosystems, the approach is the same, of listening to nature and seeing how can we help nature to do what nature wants instead of imposing human exploitation on it. And that, I think, is what responds when people in my experience, they have to be ready for it. So, you know, there's a lot of people who are very closed, and, you know, they're not willing, but anybody who's questioning, they are ripe for something like this, and it's finding ways to communicate with those people. You know, so in the work that I did right from the early days, we engaged people, we encouraged volunteers to come. We, you know, set up work weeks where people would come and engage in restoration themselves so they could actually experience it. I started writing articles, giving talks, networking, spreading the message. And of course now, you know, there's Rewilding Europe. We've got the Decade of Ecological Restoration from the UN. So it's really out there, and it's grown very quickly. And I think anybody like yourself who feels that way, as soon as you start articulating it, you'll find people will be drawn to you. So I hope that's helpful.
That's perfectly helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that question, Petri. And I was going to add that, you know, all the things that we are doing here, not just through the course, and all even that question, you know, brings together people. So thank you for that. We only have 4 minutes left. So Terrell, I see your hand, and then after that, we're going to be closing.
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to share, based on that last question, that one of the cool things about the course is not only did we work with our own group on our project, which in our case happened to be our project, but we got to review all the other projects. That was actually part of the course, was going in and reviewing all the projects. So we got to be exposed to the process and the project development and design process of many other projects in other parts of the world, which was extremely it was extremely informative and inspiring. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And I see many other questions here. So my suggestion is, after this, like I say, I'm going to be sharing the recording, sharing the information about how to register. You can register to just one module to start and see how it goes for you, or you can register for a combination of modules, or you can register for the 5 modules if you are fully committed. In any case, you can write to me or write to Ashley with any questions that you have. I'm going to try to respond to most of the questions that came through the chat via that email that is going to be a follow-up. So you can expect that email either this afternoon or tomorrow morning. Ashley, do you have any last words to say?
No, I put my email address in there if people want to send me a direct email about anything relating to the course. But all of the information is on our website, and if they're on the Gaia Education website, and if there is a question that's not covered on that, then please let us know, because then we're missing something. But I'm very, very happy that you're all here and that some of you are interested in taking this course and joining the group of alumni people around the world that are restoring degraded land and doing the great work of our time and making Alan's vision come true. Yeah, it's great to see you all. I wish you the best. We'll be in touch.
Thank you everybody for coming. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Kath, Alan, Jane, Helen, Farrell.
Yeah, we
Thank you so
wish you the best, all the students.
Okay.
Abiento.
Bye, everybody.
Abiento.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks.